Okay, next up, why don't we have A2B Bike Share come up? And while they're coming up, I'm going to introduce you. This is actually Milton's writing, so I won't be able to read it. I'm going to have to try to read the best I can. They're both computer hardware engineers, undergrads, they're nerds. They brought the prototype, I can tell. And they're from the University of Michigan students. They've designed bike share technology to improve the rider's experience, increase the operator's revenue, and decrease the operator's cost. And when do we pitch it? Beginning or end? In the middle. So go ahead. Let me go ahead and get you started. Okay, 5 minutes presentation, 5 minutes for Q&A.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm Keith Porter. Have to go over that side? Okay, cool. Apparently I can't walk to the other side of the stage. Julie, okay.
Keep the light on you.
So yeah, we're experts on bikes and bike sharing, not videography.
Yeah.
As you'll figure out. So I'm Keith Porter, here at the A2B Bike Share, along with Ansgar Sterling. We're the two co-founders, and simply put, we're going to tell you how we're awesome. So first question, who's heard of bike sharing? Raise your hands. Anybody? Pretty cool. Good percentage, good percentage. So it's basically an automated dispersed bike rental network. So if you imagine Zipcar for bikes, where you can walk up to a bike rack or to a bike, pull it out, ride it around, drop it off somewhere else. You don't own the bike, but you get the opportunity to use it. So just to highlight this pretty quickly, everybody loves bikes. Bikes are great, pretty simple. It's solid, it gets rid of car traffic, and it can kind of fit that middle gap between walking and taking the bus. So why are we here? Really the question is, why isn't bike sharing everywhere? And that's why we're here. So we went out there and researched why we don't have bike sharing in Detroit, why we don't have it in Ann Arbor, Lansing, Grand Rapids, and really anywhere around Michigan. We talked with all these constituents and realized that there's two main factors. The first one being price, and the second one being function. So they either, there's two ends of the spectrum that we found coming out of this, and products on either end. On the left end, you see you have low cost, low function products. So they're bikes that are kind of thrown everywhere, maybe they're vandalized, stolen, or just generally not very well structured or branded. On the other end of the spectrum, you're paying $4,000 to $6,000 per bike, and you have a big kiosk that you walk up to, kind of like an e-park machine if you've ever used one of those, where you get to rent the bike that way. So it works, it's well structured, it's well branded, and people are buying that, but they're doing so at the expense of huge amounts of taxpayer dollars. So our solution, being engineers at the University of Michigan, was Smart Bike Dumb Rack. Now Ansgar will tell you a little bit about how we actually break down the bike and create this great product.
So what does that mean for you? Well, as a taxpayer, instead of the city implementing a $6,000, $4,000 to $6,000 per bike system, they're now going to be implementing a $2,000 per bike, making it affordable so you can get all those great benefits. What does that mean as an end user? You're going to go on your smartphone, the internet, and find it the closest rental location. When you walk up, you're going to follow the on-screen instructions that are on the touch screen. You'll pay. Once that's been approved, lock pops out and you're on your way. While you're riding, now that we have this touch screen, you're going to be able to get a lot of great features. Google Maps, guided tours for tourists, and when you're all done, you'll be able to see where the closest station is to you. Go there, lock back up, and you're done and you're on your way. Quick, simple, and you're helping the environment and becoming a healthier person. So this company started a little bit over a year ago now, and since then we've made some great progress. We're now filing for provisional patents, and next week, Thursday, we're going to be launching this bike here at the Ann Arbor Google office. So what is our business model? We make money by selling this system and the software to operate it to a city, university, or corporation. Another interesting part of our business model is that we will be pushing ad notifications to the bike when you're safely stopped. The amazing part about this is we're able to know how effective the advertisement is. We can see, because we have your credit card information, if you went in and bought something, completing the circle, which is something very rarely you can do in advertisement. So for our market size, we started looking at what cities had bus systems. Then, if they were bike friendly, they had the bike lanes infrastructure to support bike sharing, and then cities that had enough population to support a large-scale system, you know, economies of scale, 100K plus. And then what we found was 3 cities in particular that we could target in Michigan. Ann Arbor was the Clean Energy Coalition leading the charge on bike sharing, Grand Rapids, East Lansing, and then another angle was to go after corporations, which is a new untapped market which we're starting to look into. So our key partners to execute on this is Conard, who's a bike manufacturer, and we have several other parts suppliers. We've assembled a strong team of programmers, graphic designers, Keith and I on the business end to execute on this market. We have a board of advisors that covers bikes, bike deployment, and then the actual process of bringing together products of software and hardware. So moving forward, we're going to be filing those provisional patents, launching with Google, and how you can help. Give us connections on what is important with people that would find what we're doing important, grant funding and feedback on our business model and our presentation so we can continue and improve. Thank you for your time, and we are A2B BikeShare, revolutionizing bike sharing to create healthier, fitter communities across America.
Nice. Questions?
On the dot.
I thought I saw that bike the other day. I was at Menlo Innovations, and the one was sitting in there.
Yep, we have an attack art. It is a bike, and we sit it right by the glass window so everyone walking by can see it, you know?
Okay. Is it a membership service, or do you pay, can anybody just walk up to it and pay one time?
Yes.
You don't have to be a member.
So it's both. So you can have a membership fee, maybe $50 to $80 is pretty common for a year for a city in the existing implementations out there. Also, you can just walk up, rent every other card, and swipe it right here, or you can type in your credit card information. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Also, excuse me, we have RFID and NFC, so that if you have like a bus pass that is enabled with that, you can walk up, tap that bus pass if the city is sponsoring that, as an example. So yeah, you have a whole variety of ways of renting it and paying for it. Does that answer the question? Yeah. Absolutely. Or back.
Great.
Yeah.
Use my.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
That was the question?
So you mentioned that you have you're putting a provisional patent in place. Which part of the system are you trying to protect?
Basically the concept of smart bike, dumb rack. So the whole console locking system that's truly innovative in the field. Everyone either gets rid of the rack completely, or they have that overbuilt rack. Moving the rack functionality onto the bike is a patentable position, and we've been working with U of M's Entrepreneurial Law Clinic and Brooks Cushman.
We didn't bring the rack because that would be a little inconvenient.
What's on the back end of the bike? Is that like a solar panel? Or?
Yep, precisely.
So each bike is independently contained, or like individually contained. So the way our competitor systems work, you pull up to a bike rack, and bike rack charges it. And then so if the bike runs out of power while you're riding it, then what happens? You don't have it up GPS anymore, and you can't find it. So in our case, the bike is self-contained and an individual module. So yeah, the solar panel keeps the locking mechanism and the user interface up and running 24/7.
And that's one of the really exciting things about our bike is you don't have to rip up concrete to actually put in a station. It's self-contained, it's ready to go, which is one of the reasons we can come in at that much lower cost compared to our competitors.
So mid-ride, after you served me ad, I stopped in the store to buy whatever it is I'm buying. How do I secure the bike?
Okay, yep. There is a user lock right here, so there's a key that only comes out when the bike is locked. There we go. And you lock it up. You're not worried about theft because we have GPS enabled on it. It's heavily branded. If someone steals it, we like to say, customer service, the cops come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you anticipate having somebody in the community that would be sort of, whose job it would be to go find lost bikes or bikes that somebody just had abandoned and said, the heck with it?
No. So we do have one operator concern, but the question you're asking is if we have lost or abandoned bikes. More or less no, because we're putting the onus on that on the end user, because we have their credit card information. So if they don't bring it back, they get charged for every time that it's not there. So, I mean, sure, if you want to pay for a whole bike, be my guest. But otherwise, you might have to redistribute bikes. That's not it. Where, like, there might be too many bikes here, not enough there, but that's a common problem across every system. So.
Where did you say these bikes were now?
So you asked where are the bikes now? Next week on Thursday, we're going to be launching a 2-bike prototype system with the Ann Arbor Google office.
So their employees will be able to use login info and rent it as if they were like an end user in a normal situation.
How much it costs to install the equipment on the bike, and can it be produced like on a mass scale? Do you have like any scalability idea for your business?
Yeah, we're keeping our numbers quiet on that. It's very profitable. That's financially wise, but it's extremely easy for us to basically drop these onto the existing bike. So we just have to have our components manufactured, and that's a simple, straightforward process of machining or molding. And then we just drop it on the existing bike, which has added security features direct from Kona.
Yeah, and the key part Keith mentioned is the partnership with Kona. It allows us to scale very quickly because they have massive manufacturing capabilities, and they'll do the assembly of our parts. So really, we get orders, we can fill them.
With regard to solar panels on the back, how are you going to stop people from putting something on there?
It's overbuilt, so it doesn't matter.
So if somebody's got something on there, it doesn't matter?
I mean,
no, I mean, like, you have something covering it, stopping it from getting energy.
it's overbuilt.
Yeah, so we have a lot of power. That's the long story short. If something does get covered, we know pretty quickly because all of this goes through data into the cloud, and we keep track of that all in a system administration view. So we have, I think, 3 software developers that we listed on our slide. Just looking at the hardware here, that doesn't dictate all of the development that's required to manage and maintain that system. Does that answer your question?
How many units have you sold today?
So, like we said, we're going to start leasing the system in the Ann Arbor Google office. We've been working on it for a year. The first 6 months were really customer discovery, understanding it. The next 6 have been the development. Basically, next 3 to 4, we're going to be testing it, finalizing it for production, and then we're going to start selling to communities, and hopefully you'll be seeing these bikes in a community near you soon.
Okay. So no, we literally are just getting our product together, so we wouldn't want to start leasing it before you can actually track it with GPS.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah, one more question. What happens when you take it to the 4th level of the library parking structure in Ann Arbor that's underground?
I'm trying to think. So you're basically saying if it goes off the grid?
Well, apparently.
Well, off the grid, so basically if you're unlocking it at that point, we have your credit card information. So that's the key point, is if it's not returned, it's on your credit card and you're going to be charged for a new bike.
Yeah, so unless you take it into the garage, somehow disassemble our very secure and strong components, which I'd be impressed personally, and then were to remove it, that would be, I think, about the only case where we wouldn't get your money in the end.
Just wondering.
That's a great question. Yeah. It had me stumped for about 5 seconds. So. Thank you very much. We'll have the bike around. You can check it out afterwards.
I tell you, that would do good in China.
They actually have a 55,000 bike system in Hangzhou, in China. It's crazy.
Awesome. Okay, so last up, we're going to just finish this up. We got Orniceptbr, is that correct? How you guys come up here? I think I have Russell as one of them. But basically, we like to say that I started Orniceptbr because I'm a computer scientist with a birding habit. We are the only software company that we are aware of that times its release schedule based on the migratory patterns of birds.
Yeah.
So I think that you're going to be explaining that more for us then?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I think we've got uniqueness covered pretty well.
I think it's over.
Russell Conard, and I'm here with Ornicept. Ornicept is an avian data analytics company. And you probably haven't heard of that before, and that's all right. We are revolutionizing the way that data about birds is collected, analyzed, and reported. Now, perhaps you haven't thought much about data on birds before. However, if you are building or managing a wind farm, commanding a military installation, or operating an airport, I can assure you that birds are a day-to-day headache for you. The problem isn't that we don't know that birds are there. We know there are. The issue is with the quality of data, knowing when the birds are there and where they are. Let's go specifically to the energy sector. If you're trying to build a wind farm, you have to do years of studies on where the birds are located in order to successfully build, permit, and operate your wind farm. This is one of the greatest bottlenecks in the industry, something that the industry lists only second after the federal subsidy in terms of their challenges to getting a wind farm built. And in terms of bird strikes for airports, the cost can be as high as lost lives. Now, this is an incredibly analog field. If you want to look at a field that hasn't had an update in decades, it's natural resource surveying. Right now, you take a guy, and you give him a pair of binoculars and a pair of boots, and you put him in a lawn chair, in some cases, for 30 years. This is rather inefficient and, by and large, rather ineffective. We have revolutionized this because while I was doing graduate work at Indiana University, I developed a system that identified birds by species in video using software algorithms. As you mentioned earlier, I'm a computer scientist with a birding habit. And so using this system, we can automate the process. We're building the first complete digital workflow for data about natural resources. And we can pipe data in the system using both the cameras I mentioned a second ago, and I'll tell you more, as well as field tablets for technicians. This goes into a cloud storage solution, and then we have multiple ways of displaying this data to decision makers, biologists, and statisticians. This is the camera system. So the first thing we do is we install an array of lightweight cameras and computers across a customer's project location. As birds fly overhead, we're able to record them. And then by channeling them to a central hub, we identify these birds by species and build up-to-date statistical models for how birds are using different parts of the site. So this can be used, for example, when you're building a wind farm to reduce your risk by putting the turbines where you have the least risk of bird strikes. Or for an airport, monitoring which runways require mitigation efforts. We also believe that in order to really start a company, you have to live the pain point yourself. And in doing so, we have spent hundreds of hours in the field doing these studies on birds to understand what's being done. And often for these studies, for example, during a mortality study, after a wind farm has been built on what birds are getting whacked, we find a few things come up again and again. You've got counters, clickers, GPS devices, cameras. You've got your small clickers, you've got your big clickers, you've got your pens and paper. Well, this is a very analog field, and we're able to take a backpack worth of tools and compress them into a customized field tablet, which is the first of its kind for collecting data in the field on birds and other natural resources. And using this, it also allows the companies to manage and maintain their data long-term and keep an eye on their technicians in the field as they collect the data. We've been getting a lot of traction. This began with graduate work I did at Indiana University, and we just went out of university this past April. At that time, we won an early business planning competition that gave us the seed money to get off the ground. Since then, we've participated in a number of industry conferences, partnered with a number of environmental NGOs doing initial testing and partnering for data. We've become sitting tenants at the Ann Arbor Spark Incubator. We've gotten great press from the Atlantic Magazine, Chicago Tribune, a number of local sources. We're the winners in the alternative energy sector at the Accelerate Michigan competition. And I was honored to recently be selected for the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, which is very exciting. As our current development, we are raising a seed round of $300,000, which we plan to leverage the Michigan Pre-Seed Matching Fund for an additional $250K, which will give us an 18-month milestone-based runway to raise an additional seed round of about $1.5 million in 18 months or so. However, very importantly for this crowd, we are actively hiring, and the company is growing very quickly. We're currently hiring web applications developers, C++ developers for desktop-based applications, as well as business development and writing talent. And so we're hiring both full-time and internships, and so if you or anyone you know is interested, be sure to look us up. We thank you for your time, and we welcome your questions.
So I guess when you first started out, I was like, how did you guys come up with this kind of business model and plan and idea? And where did you get the name from? Just out of curiosity.
Sure. Ornicept comes from the Greek root ornis, which stands for bird, and sept, which is Latin. And together it kind of means bird perception, per se. And then in terms of how we came up with the idea, so my work is in computer vision and object recognition, which is a very young field. If any of you guys know the first down line in football, that's perhaps the greatest accomplishment of my field. And so I was getting specifically into flexible form objects. And I told my research advisor that I wanted to identify birds by species. There are probably chuckles around the department.
Yeah, he's an avid birder who unfortunately drags his wife across the country going to specific sites to be able to see various types of birds.
Yes.
He actually just spent the holiday season down in Florida.
In the Everglades.
Yeah.
But fortunately, she's in the School of Natural Resources at U of M studying fish, so when we go to swamps, she's happy as well. But the other thing is, I mentioned we spend a lot of time in the field, and we see these very analog techniques and a lot of money moves. And we just realized after doing this more and more that the original market that we saw, which was identifying your big ticket items like California condors, whooping cranes, golden eagles, bald eagles for wind developers, was only a very small part of the problem. And in fact, this industry was so analog that no one had ever brought them the tools that they needed to effectively manage data across projects. And that's what we think we can provide. And so this gives us a strong total addressable market as well as a little bit of a larger product portfolio.
Go with the customized tablet as to any existing hardware type?
That's a great question. The question was, why would we go with customized tablets rather than existing hardware? The quick answer is that we spend a lot of time with our customers, and we spend hundreds of hours shadowing biologists in the field, and they can break anything. There's a company that makes these ruggedized GPS devices, and I once heard about them managing to break one when they fell down a hill, within a backpack, within a case, ruggedized device. And so if you take an iPad out in the field, it's just guaranteed to get destroyed. And so we're going with a little bit more customized hardware. We use a white box manufacturer, so we're not doing any in-house manufacturing. We're a software company first and foremost. And I know you guys understand the ruggedness of devices, and so you'll appreciate why it takes a little bit of a customized approach.
Any more questions?
Okay. I was curious about, besides the obvious applications of wind farms and the like that you mentioned, I was curious about birds and other creatures are known indicators of climate change. And they're looking at migratory patterns that are actually changing over the decades as proof positive that, in fact, global warming is real. It's whatever it causes. I'm wondering if that's yet another avenue for your device and your technology to actually detect the indicators of climate change.
Sure. I can share a quick anecdote that answers your question. The question was that sometimes birds are indicators. Birds and other natural resources are indicators of climate change and other bigger climate factors. And so I was at a conference a few weeks ago out in Colorado, and I was working with a member of an environmental NGO that monitors hawks. And so a lot of our field testing is with the Hawk Count Project, where there are more than 100 sites around the country where there are observers who actively monitor hawks for 8 to 10 hours a day for 3 months a year in order to see kind of the pulse of how raptors move across the country. And we've taken a big data approach to this for the first time, and we're partnering with some of these environmental NGOs to apply the tools that we're building for our commercial clients and empower them with those tools to answer questions like climate change. And she asked me, how has the golden eagle movement, the timing of the migration, changed over the last 30 years? So I pulled up one of our tools that we use for the cloud base, and we took it, and we looked at the migration periods generated over the last, I think it was 30 years on one site that we looked at, and just quickly pulled up a number of graphs and actually showed that there were some changes, though nothing substantive on that species. And she just kind of stood back and she looked at the tools and said, that would have taken our statistician a week to create those graphs. And it took us about 5 minutes. And so perhaps the question isn't so much if we're finding those ourselves, but we're building the tools necessary to answer those questions that previously had a very high barrier to entry.
Yes,
Have you thought about Homeland Security applications?
Yes, that's definitely one of the applications that we thought about and looked into. Kind of as a beachhead market, we're kind of focusing on birds because if you miss a bird, it's not necessarily in the world. Whereas if you miss a plane flying over the border, it's a little bit more serious. So we really feel that building out the system and the capabilities and demonstrating it, for bird usage at military installations is a good stepping stone to that next step of kind of maybe border security or other defense applications.
So, what is like the customer's almost willingness to pay in a sense? Like, I know we saw some numbers
The
earlier.
customers get upset with us because the product's not ready for market.
Yeah, so to give you an example of kind of alternative besides the traditional boots on the ground, one other kind of technology approach that's been used is avian radars. The big problem with them is that they all show up as blips on a screen, and a lot of them can't actually tell the difference between a small dragonfly, a bird, and a small plane. So it becomes a bit of a challenge when you're trying to do very species-specific surveys or understandings of usage trends on a site. But they're spending up to anywhere between $500,000 to $800,000 to purchase these systems. So, for especially high-risk sites, the costs that we kind of alluded to earlier on some of the projects that have run into these issues can fairly outweigh the cost of our system.
Okay, one more question, Kate. Anybody?
You guys haven't launched yet. When do you have a plan of when to launch?
The funny thing is, as we mentioned earlier, we do our testing and launches based on bird migrations, and we think that's fairly uncommon for software companies. But we're going to be doing our initial field testing for both the cameras, the tablets, and the cloud system with spring migration, March, April, May. Working on nationwide rollout of a few of our tools with one of the NGOs this fall migration, and then hopefully going more of a full scale over the next 12 to 18 months.
Appreciate it. I don't know about you guys. These are the things that are pretty impressive. I mean, coming from, doing something as a hobby, making it turn into something that's profitable. I think that's awesome.
Well, it's fun to raise money for this because you're asking people to just support what you love doing.
Well, keep it up, man. Hopefully you guys can come back.
All right.
Well, our time is up. I guess right now, if everyone knows if there's any event that's coming up in this month, I just want to know if you guys can share that. I can name you a couple of them. I know Roger got a couple of them. But are you guys aware of the ACE event that's coming up in Livonia, which will be on January 31st? And I got notification from Diane from the GLQ that they're still accepting applications for first being exhibitors, but secondly being able to participate in the pitch competition. So that's always really good due to the fact that you're always sitting in front of investors. So you don't win anything, but prestige, I guess. The other thing is the Franklin Commercialization Fund is actually run by the U of M. Their application is due on January 14th, which is next Monday. So if you guys know of any companies who are looking for funding and they're pretty much in the pre-seed stage, this is a good fund to apply in. Roger?
Yeah, ACE is $13. You get more than $13 worth of food.
Yeah, that's true.
And then all the knowledge and contacts and networks you get is free.
Actually, it's $13 to be admitted into the conference. So
yeah.
It's $75 if you wanted to register as an exhibitor, but also pitch in the competition.
Right. Also, DNewTech is next Tuesday, this is an outgrowth of, and what else? Oh, I'm starting a video meetup group. Anybody that's interested in video, we're having a organizing meeting next Wednesday night in Ann Arbor at Pizza Pino, but contact me if you are interested.
And our next event will be again, the first Wednesday every month. We just moved it to the second Wednesday due to the fact that it was last week, because it's pretty close to New Year's. So we're going to be at the Chase? Yeah, I think it's the Chase building. So come out there, free Slurpees. Thanks, guys. Hopefully you guys have a good time.
Pre-seed money company that you were talking about, when is that event?
I'm sorry?
The pre-seed money company that
you're
talking about.
The group is called Franco Commercialization Fund. They're based out of Uvalde. Basically, their education due on Monday, but they're pretty much fund startup companies that have no basically at early stage.
Isn't there a get-together after? Somebody posted that they're going over to traffic.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There is a joint happy hour tonight, so I know that there's, I don't know if they're here, but basically there's a happy hour. I can't remember the location.
It's at Traffic Jam, right? Is that what
Traffic Jam, yep.
Yeah, it's nearby and just south of Wayne State.
Canfield between 2nd and Cass.
Okay, we'll follow you.
There we go. What was that again?
Traffic Jam Canfield between 2nd and Cass.
Okay, everyone caught that?